Hello everybody, this is David Perrodin and I will be your instructor for Inclusion of Students with Special Needs, Education 605. Excuse me, it is that time of year when lawn mowing and things like that tend to bring out the allergies, but we start class on July 5th and end on August 19th. So let me tell you a little bit first about me, and we'll talk in general about the class. First of all, I am your, obviously your instructor. I have taught this course for probably 13 years for Viterbo, and maybe 40 times, 50 times online. So continue to advance it. I will be doing what are called fireside chats, which are very similar to this fireplace, even though it's hot down here. And I'll do that toward the end of every week, so probably like about Thursday, Friday, you'll see a fireside chat come up, maybe the first 5 weeks of class, and typically the last 2 you're working on a project, and I might or might not do them, but I will give shout outs during that to say, like, here's someone that made this post and I want to expand upon it. It was really intriguing. I'll use your first name, I won't use your last name because these will be posted on YouTube. But you will see every Thursday or Friday about a 20-minute fireside chat. I strongly recommend that you watch the fireside chats because they will give reflection to the week that just happened, and then they'll foreshadow what's happening in the week ahead and kind of give you little points too on what I'm expecting with some of the work. So it is a requirement that by the first day of class, July 5th, that you post your biography. Just something that Viterbo requires. I think it has to do with financial aid and some of that type of stuff, but your biography must be posted by July 5th. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the class up early, probably about a week early, and you'll have access to it to go in. I will only show one module at a time. So when you go in, you'll see module 1. The course is broken into 7 modules. Within each of those modules, they're very well laid out, and then you'll also have a syllabus to go with that. But within each of the modules, you'll have discussion questions. You'll also have due dates. If a question has a date next to it, like due 7/25, 2016, that question you have to answer. Anything that has a due date next to it is a required question that you have to answer. I will post other question threads. They're going to be optional. Usually I'll indicate that, but anything that has a date next to it is something you have to respond to. So you'll make your own response, and I'm not telling you how long that needs to be. Most people, if it was a piece of paper, it'd probably be about a half page. And then make sure that you're responding to other students. This is a big class. This is a very big class for summer. But the good part about that is it means that we have the potential for very rich threads to develop for different discussion topics. There's also a question section you can go up if there's a question you have about something technical about class, like how do I find out how many posts I've made or something. And anybody in here, if you could jump in and help out, go ahead and do that. And if you have any resources that you want to share with the class, probably email me first and say, hey, I'd like to share this with the class. Typically I'll share it out then, or I'll say post it and share it. And a lot of people have done that. You'll see some things in your classes which have been done by students in previous classes, which they've given permission to have their work used as samples. So basically every week a new module will open. Now I'll open it typically a day or 2 before. So modules typically open on Monday. Now 4th of July is a Monday. I'll probably still open the module, but you don't have to go in on the 4th of, well, the module will be open. You don't have to go in on the 4th of July. So your bio is technically going to be due then the next day on the 5th. So, but basically every Monday a new module is going to open. And then when we get to the last week is different because it's short. It ends on a Friday. again, you'll see all of this laid out in the syllabus and in the module dates. But when we get closer to the end of class, what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably open up modules 5, 6, and 7, or 6 and 7 together to give you enough time to work on your final project for class, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So, but make sure you're checking class. I would recommend, if you can check daily, if not every other day. Be making your posts. Do not miss deadlines. Probably the two reasons people lose points in the class is, one, they miss deadlines, and the second part is they don't read the expectations for what is expected of the assignment. That'll happen with the Bill Porter plan. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Otherwise, pretty smooth sailing. Stay active in class. I think you'll have a lot of fun. It's very dynamic. We can be very in the moment, especially with the fireside chat. Something happens like next week, I can talk about it. Or if you've posted something that's happened, in your school or your area, or some conference you've observed or some project you've worked on, we can be real time with that. We don't have this big lag. So that's a big plus. So again, be concise in your posting. Do not post a PDF and expect people to open the PDF and then respond to that. There will be times you'll have some assignments which can be done in PDF. One is a timeline assignment, but if it's a discussion question like, what are your thoughts on this week's reading, don't do that in a PDF and post it. That needs to be typed in, and you'll see that people are doing that. There's a book required for this class. It is posted in right away when you access class. It's also in the syllabus, so make sure that you get that ordered, because we start working out of that right away. And it is something where you do need to buy the book. There's going to be a fair amount of times that we will be referencing the book with discussion questions. Now, with that said, the book is written mostly in a narrative format. It's story-based, and so it's easy reading, and I think it's very contextual. But if you don't have the book, you're absolutely not going to be able to answer these questions. So make sure that you are acquiring the book. So let's see. I know many of you have vacations in summer, so do I. Actually, while this class is running, there'll be a short time when my family and I will be up in Superior, and I'll be teaching this class from the laptop. But I know you will have vacations, so if you want to work ahead a little bit on your discussion questions, go for it. If there's something significant coming up for you, you might want to let me know if you're going to be a day or two late on an assignment. If you don't let me know and all of a sudden something shows up late, that's a 0. And once we get to the end of class, and that August 19th date where the Bill Porter plans due, that's it. That needs to be in that day, because I have a very short turnaround for grades for Viterbo to make sure that your grades get in. And a lot of you, that's, I know, very important for the start of the school year, of having that course completed and on a transcript before school starts. I'm usually more fun and animated, and this is kind of the getting through the stuff. So module 2, you start out, it's probably your first real assignment. You have a timeline of inclusion, and I'll talk about that more once we get into that module. And that's basically going to be looking at 15 points in time in the United States of evolution of some aspect of inclusion. People have done the inclusion from an aspect of looking at dolls, how the polio doll was invented in 1950 and how American Girl invented a doll with a hearing aid and things like that. Really incredible. Someone did artificial or prosthetic limbs for athletics, and how they evolved to carbon fiber and all of these things. And other people have done more traditional, like legislation, building designs, things like that. But that'll be your first one. I'm pretty easygoing on whatever format you want to use on that. There'll be a couple that'll be displayed. Again, I'll talk more about these when we get into actually those weekly chats. So when I do the chat at the end of week 1, that will cover week 1, but then I'll also tell you more about week 2. Week 6, you have a scavenger hunt that'll be coming up. That works great during the school year because you're asked to talk to other teachers. I know it's difficult to do during summer, so there'll be allowances that you can make on that, and I'll talk about that. So again, these fireside chats are about 20 minutes long, and they typically will be filmed here. I'd like to film somewhere else sometime, take the camera with. So maybe you'll see some road trip filming that'll be going on. I will update your grades about every 2 weeks. I will make a post in the announcements in Moodle that your grades have been updated. On this date, please check your grade book. If I don't make that post and you're looking and you don't see a grade, don't worry. It just means I haven't entered the grades yet. So that's one of the things people will email me and say I didn't see my week 3 discussion question 2 grade, and I'm like, well, everything is updated through week 2, and then I'll typically, like maybe week 4 will update again. So don't worry about that. And if you go in and there's no grade, that means I haven't graded it. If you go in and see a 0, that means that there was a 0, likely you missed something. At the end of every module, there's a checklist that you fill out. It's just easy. You just check that I've read this article, read this, did this, and you get points for that. Make sure you do the checklist. Those are easy points. Let's see here. So, yep, you'll go in, you will see announcements, and make sure that you always check those. I'll have them dated, things that I'll be posting. Please share your experiences. You can be very candid, be very open. People have shared about their own children with disabilities. It's up to you, what you want to do with that. Please, obviously make sure that you're protecting identity, but feel free to be very, very candid in the class, but also to be candid plus positive. It's one thing to, kind of point out, here's the challenges of inclusion, but here's the challenges, and then here are opportunities to promote inclusion. I'm not here to tell you that inclusion is the only way. And in fact, we have our 2 worlds that will collide in this class. And one is No Child Left Behind, or E, every student succeeds, whatever it is now. And then, so that's over here, and then here's the Individuals with Disability Education Act for educating students with disabilities. 2 solar systems, I don't know, Andromeda and Milky Way. They will collide at some point. We know this will happen. And when they collide, it's going to be this tangled mess, and nobody really knows what's going to happen. But NCLB, or the new Every Child Succeeds, whatever the acronym is for that. But that basically says we want kids mainstreamed. We want kids in the regular education classrooms where the instruction is happening. And there's a difference between mainstreaming and inclusion, which we'll talk about in week 1 also. But no idea is saying, there needs to be a range of options for kids. You need to have a range of services. So meaning, if a child needs to be educated part of their day off site, or receive special services at a school that we don't provide those services, so we have to provide contract with this neighboring school district that has this program, maybe for deaf and hard of hearing or vision or something like that, low instance. That's what we have to do. And so you have these 2 views. Schools that say they're full inclusion, there really is no such thing as full inclusion. Legally, there is not full inclusion, so you probably heard that term. What it really means is that that's what you're striving for, and at every IEP meeting, the discussion begins with serving the child in the regular education classroom. And then if you're unable to do that, add in accommodations, interventions. What does that make a difference? Can you then serve the child in that setting? If not, what's the next least restrictive setting? Is it 75% of the day in the regular education classroom, 25% in a pull-out setting? Where does that work? But every discussion starts with mainstream regular class or being in that regular classroom receiving instruction. So I mentioned it before, it's in the WEAC article, but let me just get at it quick. Mainstreaming is physically in the classroom. So physically, boom, the child's there. Inclusion means that they're being included in activities, that they're participating, there's engagement. Big difference. People switch those two up, but there's a big difference. So Bill Porter plan you will have in week 7. That is your capstone project for this course. That will go into your Eportfolio. And I do have information detailed out about what is required for your Eportfolio. It shouldn't be new to you. This should all be stuff that you've heard many times from Viterbo. But you do have an Eportfolio page which is required for this class. If you're taking this class for reading licensure, if this is a class to get your credits that you need to keep your DPI license, your 6 credits every 5 years or something like that, then you probably don't need to do that. But if you're doing this for the 316 or 317, then you need to be doing your portfolio. Again, and you've probably taken classes where you've already started that with Viterbo. I do, at the end of class, you need to email me a link to your web page or your Eportfolio and where your 605, this class, where the material is. And now, if it's not complete, if you even just got the page built but nothing's on it, email me that. That's okay. The goal is that you would have that complete, I'd be able to take a look at it and give you feedback. If that doesn't happen, that doesn't impact your grade at all. You don't get graded on your Eportfolio by me. At the end of the entire program, when you exit and go to get your license, yes, then your entire portfolio is examined by the department chair or designee. But somebody kind of asked me about that. Well, I wasn't required to do this in the last class of having all this done. And I'm like, no, you don't have to have it done. I urge you, and the Viterbo urges you to do that so you're not all of a sudden, sitting there the night before you have to turn in your portfolio and like writing everything at once. That you can stagger it and then get my feedback from this class accordingly. But I do need to submit that to Viterbo, though, also right after August 19th. I need to submit that saying, hey, here's where everybody is at with their Eportfolio for 605. And for some of you, again, it might just be like work in progress, or, might have the section complete, might have the shell of the section, but you don't get graded on that. Don't worry about that as far as like a grade. The Bill Porter plan, I'm going to open that up. You'll have at least 2, if not 3 weeks to work on that. That's written in a first-person kind of story narrative. So here's an example. The Bill Porter plan, all you got to do is go on to YouTube and type Bill Porter, salesman, Oregon. There was an ABC special done on Bill. At that time, an elderly man doing a door-to-door sales route, had done it for like 50 years. Had cerebral palsy, would use the natural supports in his environment, such as like the bellhop at a hotel, I think, to help him maybe button his cuffs or something like that. It's all in the video, which is like 20 minutes, really amazing. But you will take Bill and take him and bring him back in time, put him wherever you are at as an instructor. So if you're a 4th grade teacher taking this class, then make Bill a 4th grader. If, a kindergartner, if you're a high school teacher. If you're not teaching, make Bill then a student that would be, whatever grade you want him to be, and then where you're probably going to where you'd like to end up instructing. So if you're a reading teacher, that's fine. Let's imagine the principal came to you and said, hey, we have this new student, Bill Porter, has cerebral palsy. He's going to be starting next week. So you've watched the video, you got to know about Bill. I want you to be one of the lead people in helping Bill get adjusted to our school. So you can indicate, here's how a lot of people do it. They start out and say, I was notified by my principal today we have a new student starting next week. His name is Bill Porter. Bill has cerebral palsy. He is a 4th grader, and I don't know much about cerebral palsy. We haven't had a student with cerebral palsy in our school that I can remember, So here are the resources I'm going to use to learn about cerebral palsy. And then you indicate if there's some web sources or other things. And then you'll go into how you're going to educate staff, educate students, accommodations you make for Bill, how you get to know Bill personally, disability awareness, all of those things. I'll have those all very well delineated out. There's two parts at the end of that sometimes people overlook. And again, if you follow what's there, you will be fine. And there's a rubric that has it all listed. But there are two things at the end. And one is that you need to include Bill. How will you socially include Bill? So will it be, will Bill be on student council, for example? Will he participate in, special Olympics? Will he be in Lego club or something like that? So that's participation. Now if Bill's like kindergarten, I know that's going to be harder, so you could put down if there's anything there that he could participate in socially, or even if it's library story times, things like that. But then you would probably have to say there's not much at this age, but as Bill would get older, you could do like Cub Scouts and things like that, 4-H, whatever. There I'm giving you some. The other one is like outside agencies to help Bill, and one of those would be Easter Seals, for example, your ADRC for your county services, United Cerebral Palsy. Here I'm giving you 3, come on. But there's numerous out there. But those are areas that sometimes just people overlook. So make sure that you look at the rubric first for that assignment and then complete that assignment, because that is your capstone. That's your big assignment for this class. That's what shows up in your portfolio. I print that one off, I grade it by hand, I scan it back in, return it to you. There's a lot of feedback, a lot that goes into that. You take everything you've learned hopefully from the class, just plus your own experiences, incorporate it into this plan for Bill. You don't have to cite things. I'm not looking for a research paper. I'm looking for a narrative of even like, I was walking down the hallway with Bill and noticed, the incline in this one area was difficult for Bill, or that he fumbled around with his locker thing, or else that Bill didn't have any trouble opening the doors to the gym or something like that. So that's what I'm looking for. There'll be much more about this. We talked Eportfolio. Email me. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Email me at my Viterbo address. If you need to get a hold of me like in the moment, you can also text me. I can then text you back if it's something short, but if it's anything of length, just text me and say, hey, I sent you an email. Can you check your email? Because I'm not a fast texter. I am not like my daughter. So, but yeah, if you text me something, I will almost get back to you instantly. But as far as any type of real questions about assignments or other things, do that in email. Again, we talked about the book for this class, the major assignment. So let me just tell you a little bit about me, and then we'll wrap this up. So I have 2 master's degrees, one in speech language pathology from Stevens Point, another master's degree from UW Superior in Ed Administration. I have a Ph.D. from Madison in Educational Leadership and Policy Analysis, where I studied I didn't study school safety necessarily, but I studied high-stakes decision-making in the military and healthcare in schools. So it was a 2-year fellowship that I took to do that, and I do school consulting across the country for safety. And in my bio you'll see I did a PBS video after Sandy Hook that was 75 minutes long, aired across the entire country on school crisis preparedness. I had 35 pages of citations ready to go in case I got challenged. Interesting with that is there's an audience you present to, and then afterwards, when the mics are everything's shut off, you have to stay there and they keep asking you questions. And I'll be doing another video like that. So I consult all over the country on school safety, specifically at the elementary level, and I'm putting together a book right now with that. I am hired as a creative director by one of the major studios in California, and I don't seek out work. People come to me and will ask me to do some of this. I only have so much time. I work at the Wisconsin School for the Blind and Visually Impaired, do speech language. They have a small caseload. I'm also the therapy department chairperson, and then safety. And it's a building that's 1/4 of a mile long. Has dorms, a pool, an auditorium, an indoor track, all of that stuff. I love my job, love the people I work with. Much flexibility in that for me to do my consulting and mix that together. And also learning to teach without visuals made me a much better instructor, and also to look at safety for students that don't have the ability to navigate by sight. But my dad was a school principal for 32 years. My brother is a Title I teacher, getting close to retirement. So we've been an education family. Again, I've been with Viterbo, I think, for 14 years, instructing this class, maybe 13 years. I've instructed face-to-face, built my own face-to-face classes. Used to take milk crates, and that would be like 1 week's class. So would have all the stuff, and then it would be handouts, and along with me, and then part of it would be online, part of it would be face-to-face. And now I teach most of their online stuff and not their face-to-face stuff. So, but I love instructing for Viterbo. Love the people that I work with. I am passionate about inclusion, and that will come out. But also, I am not trying to. I'm trying to give you information, but you'll make up your own decisions on where you feel, where you center upon that discussion of inclusion. So so that's kind of where my own thing. I have my wife and 2 daughters, so this is being filmed in my basement, and it has somewhat cleared up. It was a big mess while I had a lot of my Ph.D. stuff down here, and have since been kind of tossing and cleaning since all that's done. And this will be turned actually into kind of a studio thing. So when I consult I'm consulting on a movie right now, which is very strange. I've never done that work before. Was contacted to do that and agreed to do that. Wrote 8 scenes. It does involve an intruder. And then I do Skype in, and I have 3 monitors, and then there's other people Skyping in. There's the producer, and then they're in a big room and all of this stuff. And it's an amazing process. It's like being at an auction though, and just trying to keep up. And I remember the producer told me, and I'll wrap it up here in a second, but he said, "You'll get the hang of it. You'll get the hang of it." And after the first time, my head was just spinning. It's so fast. But my job when I get hired in on this is to look at the scenes and to technically say, this is right or this isn't right relative to safety, or give suggestions on how the scene might be differently situated. And then I'll be flying out in September again for when some of the shooting is done on that. But it's one of those fun kind of turns in life where I didn't expect to be doing that, and it is actually a lot of fun. But I do have a script I need to be writing tomorrow, and to get that back to the studio so they can start to frame that out we have our next big production meeting on July 1st. So I will be the guy. I'm called a creative director is what I'm hired as, which means there's probably 100 of me, and a scene, 8 scenes might sound like a lot. It might represent 5 minutes in a movie, if that. But it just moves really, really fast. I mean, it just goes at the speed of light. So, but yeah, I love to bike, so I'm going to be out biking a lot this summer. I already have a good tan, and like doing things outside, and we have a beach about 5 blocks away, so I'm there a lot with my family, and especially my girls who just love the beach. So enjoy the summer. Please don't let this class stress you out, and be in contact with me if you have any questions. But again, welcome to Inclusion 605, Students with Special Needs. We begin July 5th, 2016. We end August 19th. And make sure I will have the class open. If you want to go in and visit it, that's fine. One thing I ask though, don't go in and make posts. I mean, I guess if you want to post your bio, your intro, that's fine, but don't post otherwise. Wait until class starts. So, all right, from Portage, Wisconsin, a wish for a great day for all of you. And I am about to take one of my daughters to swim lessons. So, again, thank you. Any questions, get a hold of me. You'll enjoy this class. And I'm flexible with summer, but again, it is a course. The work needs to be done. The dates will be posted. So, thank you.